Hello YouTube, this is Insane Monster, and this is part 3 of What If Deku Was Half Gargoyle. Now then, I must mention Happy Halloween, if not, if you're watching this later. So yeah, but with all that said, before the What If begins, hit it. Okay, now then, uh, we are currently at the part where Deku and such are in their classroom as Aizawa states that they have to pick a new class rep. And so some arguing goes back and forth as Aizawa just kind of chills waiting for them, ending up in the voting method that Ida suggested. This ends up with Izuku ending up liking Canon the class rep, with Momo as vice rep. So after that, we skip over to lunch, where Izuku tosses over a slab of meat that he got from lunch runs over to Shu, the gargoyle dog. So yeah, as they begin to talk, then immediately the alarm went off as everybody is running away. They learn that it's some kind of alarm for notifying them from intruders, as Izuku sees through the window is just the media that harassed him about All Might being a teacher here. Once seeing this, he jumps up and rips his claws into the wall, moving over to the exit sign, yelling at everybody to calm down and that they're UA students, so they should act better than this. After everything calmed down and they got the media off the premises, we then have Izuku being scolded for uh, making holes in the wall, though also remarking that he did a good job as calming down the crowd. However, after that situation in school day, we switch over to the League of Villains. Well, the doctor of the League of Villains' little laboratory, where we see a woman with red hair state that, good, we have a target, and most importantly, it will be where that young boy, Izuku Midoriya, it is, correct? Ah, such a good, not just good, but amazing find. And after all these years, after I took Dr. Savarios's research and combined it with your know-how, then we will make what I have been dreaming of for so long. Also stating that although the world sees him as having some type of quirk, in truth he is something far greater than a quirked human. As this woman grins, the doctor states, yes, and I have to admit, the research from this Dr. Savarios is quite interesting and could prove quite useful as well. As he goes on stating that, so I have all the materials that we would need to gather the samples. As he states, so what do you think, Demona? As this woman walks up, examining them, grabbing hold of a ejector gun that's made to pull out blood into capsules, stating that it will work just fine. This little trinket will be most important to get the DNA sample from him. And uh, perhaps we should think about getting that little dog that was also shown on the news as well. Which she's talking about Sue. Or, yeah. As we also see on the table, little robot mosquitoes. And a good number of them as well. So, yeah. We then are shown that they are getting on the bus to go on the trip for hero training. As they begin to talk, they talk about their quirks and such and who would be a good hero. As Sue brings up that his quirk to increase his strength kind of reminds her of All Might, with Izuku stating, well, I mean, even if it does somewhat resemble it, I mean, I mostly take after my dad, especially in appearance. Showing off a family picture of his dad, and mom. Well, of course, at night. With Sue stating, "You do look somewhat like your dad, huh? Wings, tail, and all." With Sue, with okay, I think, yeah, with Susu, the gargoyle dog, just lying there on the ground, and Froppy stating that it seems like a good family. As they get there to the USJ, upon entering, they meet the Hero 13, who introduces herself, remarking about the facility is made to help train heroes in the art of rescuing from natural disasters and such. Though, unfortunately, Kurogiri walks in using his warp gate along with a bunch of other villains, including Shigaraki, Nomu, and a human woman who's wearing a mask that has a type of golden colored uh, crown thing on her head. Izuku looked, and the mask looked very familiar, though he had trouble making it out from this distance. As Aizawa walks up to the end of the stairs and jumps off, going down, down as 13 tries to get the kids out, being stopped by Kurogiri. Now then, the same people do get separated as in canon, as Susu, the gargoyle dog, ends up landing in the same area as Momo, Denki, and Jiro, taking out villain after villain as the students are scattered about. Ida is still able to get out to go for reinforcements. As for All Might, he overworked his quirk, like in canon. As for Izuku, as he was falling, he opened up his wings and soared over to the boat. As he is then followed by Froppy and Mineta, of course. As they see their situation about being surrounded, Izuku has an idea. He tells Sue and Mineta to jump on his back, telling them to hold on. As he jumps with One for All, boosting him up, using his wings to help guide his flight from the increased pressure. He then winds up his fist, powering up with One for All, and full does basically the same thing as in canon. As he flies down to the coast where the trees are, with all the villains from the water zone being completely stuck together by Mineta's balls like in canon. As for Susu, he ends up tackling the villain that captures Denki as he bites into his arm and throws him aside. But when he tries to get up, He's then hit by Jiro's sonic blast from her boot as he crouches down, patting Susu on the head, remarking, "Well, you're a good boy, aren't you?" as they hurry up trying to get out. Though, as they land, Izuku is tackled by the woman in the mask, as Izuku tells Proppy and Mineta to run. As he gets the woman off, he recognizes the face that mask is sewing. Along with the long red hair, he thinks, no way. So, you're still alive. The stories I've heard. As the woman states. So, you recognize this face from some illustrations, I assume? Well, hopefully they hold true to the real thing. Unfortunately, I'm stuck in this weak human body until night falls. But, as he points a gun to him that will fire lasers, he states, "You are going to be an obstacle for me in the future, so perhaps I should get rid of you now." As Izuku powers up one for all and blasts some air as he goes to dodge from the blast from the cannon, laser cannon thing Damona's using, sending her flying. Though, she double checks on the little gun, but the little extractor gun thing she had, looking over at it, checking if it broke, revealing that it didn't, as well as the blood within it. She was able to pull out some of his blood while she tackled him. And since she already had it, she decided to bolt, remarking that a gargoyle with a quirk seems to be quite powerful. As he checks the machines using a control panel on her wrist, it shows that the mosquitoes all got a DNA sample, recalling them, as Nomu caught Aizawa after Aizawa was fighting with Shigaraki. Deku at this time is out of the uh, trees and such to see Aizawa with one of his arms broken. Instinctively, he bolts directly towards the Nomu, punching it off of Aizawa, grabbing Aizawa, worried about him. Though this is where Sue comes in, as he places Aizawa on Sue's back, telling him to get him up the stairs and to the others, and to hurry. Of course, Sue was honestly worried about his master, but he obeyed, hurrying up. As the Nomu came back, knocking him into a wall. Izuku was pissed at this point, going full throttle on the Nomu, punching him over and over again, powered up with one for all, even to the point of using his little electric shock mace, jamming it against the Nomu's neck, electrifying it. It caused it to stumble a little bit, since it did shock pretty close to the brain, which Izuku took the advantage, grabbing the Nomu, and with the power of one for all, instead of punching him out, which didn't seem to have much of effect on this thing, he decided to throw it out of the USJ itself, grabbing hold, swinging him around, and launching him full force with the one for all he had. As Shigaraki was getting pissed and going to attack Izuku, All Might burst through, and he wasn't happy, quickly knocking out the lesser villains. As we then see Kurogiri dropping Shigaraki down, as well as we see him grabbing Demona, getting out of there. The Mona was dropped in the doctor's lab as the Iraqi was dropped back at the bar, giving a report to All for One and the doctor. So yeah, some time passed. Izuku got pretty scraped up from that Nomu, but thankfully gargoyles are pretty sturdy. He just tells everybody when they see him injured like that he just needs a good sleep. As Sue is worried about him, but he pets Sue, telling him that he's fine. As everybody was getting back on the bus, Izuku was worried as he scratched his neck, used that something didn't feel right. And on the mirror in the front of the bus, he looked, saw a needle mark. He sighed, thinking and full on knowing that the Mona must have took some of his blood. And that if any of the stories of her past is correct, that isn't good. As some of the students complained about there being mosquitoes in the USJ, which does catches Izuku's eye. He is sitting all the way in the back while Sue is petting, I mean, while he's petting Sue with Sue's head on his lap. Mina walks over asking if he's okay. He looks kind of down, with Izuku stating, yeah, fine. So, I don't know, I'm pretty sure a lot of things are gonna happen from here on out. Mina does seem pretty worried as he grips her fist, stating, when I saw you fight that thing, I was really worried. And he just started to blush. And Izuku looked at her, stating, as he smirked, it's fine. Not, it's gonna take a lot more to get rid of me than that. As he just looks at him and punches him in the shoulder, saying, that not that's not what I meant. Izuku laughs a little bit, stating, no. And, well, he starts to blush a little bit as he states, we have been getting kinda close, so maybe once things calm down or we get some time off, you wanna go somewheres? As Mineta overhears this and starts freaking out, as everybody looks at them, and Mina and Deku are blushing, with Mina quietly stating, that sounds nice. So, yeah. So, Mina is quickly silenced by Suyu, completely shutting Mineta up, especially with the tongue slap, then covering his mouth to make sure he doesn't say anything. So, after some time passed, Izuku got home and waited until night fell, after getting the report that school is going to be canceled for a week for the investigation to be going on. So, once Izuku's dad broke out of his stone shell, Izuku told him about the Mona and the fact that she took some blood from him. Not sure how much, but given that all of his other students complained about mosquito bites, he's worried. Not to mention, he checked Sue, and behind his neck was a little needle mark. His dad ended up making some calls, and ended up getting in contact with Xanatos, wondering about something about this. He went back thinking and remembered some stories he was told about what the Mona has done in the past, as well as some ex associates of hers and such. such as Dr. Severios, who took basic samples of DNA like blood and such, using them to make clones of gargoyles. Though those clones weren't perfect. They ended up having a bad reaction and being completely turned to stone, which they are still to this day. Upon hearing this, he's very concerned as he tells Thanatos about the about what he did about what she did to her son, taking his blood apparently, along with a number of UA students and maybe even the teachers. Thanatos remarked that that is not good. As he states that it might be best to bring UA into the full loop on this. Of course, Hisashi did agree, since these people are after UA and Demona seems to be with them, then it's not safe for them to be kept in the dark, especially with what might be coming. Back at the League of Villains in the Doctor's lab, Demona and the Doctor are working on the machines, stating that since it's so far into the future, that the technology has advanced so far that it won't take long for these to incubate, become proper. As the Doctor then states that, though I could also inject them with some quirks using my research. As the Mona smirked, remarking, yes, I think that might be good, at least for our first one, revealing a tank that has Izuku's picture on it. As for the other tank, they were being infused with 2 samples of DNA. So, yeah, during the week that they were off, Izuku brought Mina out on a date and brought him to see his parents, as it was before nightfall, with Mina remarking, wait, is that a statue of your dad? Who keeps a statue of himself in his own apartment? With Izuku stating, Mina, there's something you should probably know. And our other classmates, as well as everybody from you, as well as others from UA, are going to be told about this. As the sun went down, Izuku's father burst from the stone, stalking Mina, as Hisashi introduced himself and explained everything, with Mina being bright-eyed, stating, whoa, so you're like an actual gargoyle. Wait, I thought they were just stone statues. Hisashi smirked and laughed a little bit as he remarked, actually, gargoyles are an actual race. We turn to stone during the day and are living flesh during the night, though Izuku here is different. He is capable of walking in both the day and the night in flesh. And Sue was connected to him through some odd means. As Susu barks in happiness having a guest in the home. Though Asui asked, why are you telling me all this? With Hisashi stating the severity of what might happen. Telling her about the blood being taken and about the Mona's possible plan for taking it. Which, if you haven't realized since she's using Dr. Severios' research, is basically cloning, remarking that they also most likely have DNA samples from all the other UA students and faculty members that were there. So Mina started to really get worried and wasn't sure how to deal with that. So the next day, the Hero Course students, as well as the teachers were all brought together, as we see Aizawa wrapped, bandaged up pretty good, and are told everything about what might be coming. Of course, Class 1A is freaking out with Bakugo yelling, "Wait, so I'm gonna be cloned? Are you serious?" Xanatos ended up walking in on this as he states, yes, it is most likely given who stole not only young Izuku's DNA, but all of Class 1A's, Aizawa's, and possibly 13's as well. Showing some old pictures of gargoyles that were cloned, as well as the originals, which then Bakugo looked at Izuku stating, "So you're not fully human after all. So what, you're some kind of first quark gargoyle thing or whatever?" Izuku nervously said, "Kind of, yeah." Laughing nervously. All Might got this heads up already, along with Nezu and Recovery Girl, as they state, also showing off the clone that was made in the past using a human woman as well as the DNA from a female gargoyle, stating that they will most likely use the large amount of DNA they took from Izuku in order to splice his DNA with theirs, making them more physically powerful. As for your quirks, I'm not exactly sure how that would work. Cloning has actually been illegalized for quite some time. Finding a proper facility to have the equipment for it will not be easy, Mr. Xanatos states. And also, Class 1B is nervous about this, asking if they might also be targets for this cloning stuff. With the Xanatos and the others stating yes, it is most likely they'll be aiming for other Hero Corps students to get their DNA, as well as anybody who might have possible quirks and such that could benefit. As Suyu asked if that was the same woman that tackled Izuku at the USJ. He mentioned yes, it should be. Trust me, it's a long story and very confusing. As Xanatos also stated, yes, with her here, somebody else might be coming here as well to hunt her down. It'd be useful if we can get him to work with us, though this is more of a personal grudge of his. Either way, it's going to be a bit troublesome. With Nezu stating, well, if he can help us, then alright. As they continue the meeting and gave them all the knowledge that they needed to know to stay safe. Next thing, as they were going to leave, Izuku was bombarded with a bunch of questions, asking what exactly is with the gargoyles. Izuku states, well, I'm not gonna tell you everything. I mean, come on. We've been my dad's been, uh, you know, hidden. I mean, gargoyles tend to be nocturnal, and, well, the heroes that have a gargoyle form are actually gargoyles themselves, basically, with them being impressed by this and such. As we then just end at the point where Aizawa walks into class on their first day back, telling them that they'll be doing the sports festival pretty soon, with everybody excited. And this is where we'll be leaving this what if at. So hope you enjoyed. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and see you later.